Dollars out of our country.
And then an oldie but a goodie, obviously Trump University, which had to pay $25 million settlement because it was a scam. Do not go out there and say this is all a liberal problem if you don't want to look under the hood of your own car.
Okay, you're going to watch this, one, knowing how much Trump likely hates that it aired on Fox News, and two, because it's a perfect demonstration of how MAGA outrage actually works.
The program that he was talking about that you referenced, Kellyanne, is school lunches, which I've seen no fraud about that kids go to school and they get lunch as
Yes.
they should. Okay. Yes, school lunch is a good thing. Sometimes breakfast, too, even.
During a segment discussing fraud, Fox News host launched into familiar territory. Righteous fury, dramatic tone, and that classic implication that America is constantly being robbed blind by everyone except, of course, Donald Trump and his family. But then something amazing happened. Jessica Tarlov was given the floor and she fact-checked these claims in real time. And the reaction was, well, it was glorious. See,
I feel like we're getting scammed in general in America, in the world in general. We're getting scammed of every single thing. So whatever Ms. Jessica says, I believe it. She's about to fry him, and I can't wait. Let's get it.
her fellow Fox hosts were furious about alleged misconduct involving a Minnesota daycare initially exposed by a YouTuber, and they demanded investigations, consequences, accountability, the full law and order routine. They also claimed that there wasn't enough reporting on the matter from the liberal media, despite the fact that one of the most detailed reports on this matter came from the New York Times. But when Jessica Tarlov pointed out that Donald Trump and his businesses have repeatedly, and I emphasize repeatedly, been found liable for fraud, including civil fraud judgments, suddenly the energy in the room shifted.
It's going to get incredibly complicated for him, and I'm sure that he and his team are talking about whether he could mount another, I don't want to say challenge because Donald Trump won't be running again, but obviously he's been considering 2028. I think that will be more difficult when something like this has gone on in your state while you were in office, even if you are not personally involved in it. The program that he was talking about that you referenced, Kellyanne, is school lunches, which I've seen no fraud about that kids go to school and they get lunch as they should. Okay. Yes, school lunch is a good thing. Sometimes breakfast too, even. Nick Shirley's reporting, there's no way that this kid walking around uncovered $100 million worth of fraud on his own. There have been tons of people working behind the scenes quietly, including independent local journalists that have been exposing this. I don't know about the veracity of every single thing that he's gone and seen. That's being debated online, but obviously there's a huge problem here. It does Democrats no favors to get partisan about this and to dig in and say, oh, it absolutely couldn't be happening because it's my team that this happened to. The argument that it has not been being covered is ludicrous. People don't want to just do simple Google searches. The biggest story about this came from the New York Times, and it made liberals look terrible. That's where Guy was referencing emails from people who worked at Feeding Our Future saying, we're going to call you a bunch of racists. That was published in the New York Times. It wasn't published in a far-right publication. It was published in the Times itself. And this goes back to the Garland DOJ when they started prosecuting all of this. We'll say, lastly, that fraud should be stamped out everywhere. You should take it seriously, and I'm particularly upset, and I've said this the third time, that people took COVID money, abused that while folks were dying, while kids weren't allowed to go to school. The country was completely in uproar, rightly so, people scared out of their minds. But Donald Trump and his administration has not taken fraud seriously. You have Philip Esform, who was the healthcare executive, speaking of healthcare, which is part of this, a nursing home mogul, I didn't even know you could be one, orchestrated the largest healthcare fraud scheme in U.S. history, $1.3 billion, commuted by Trump. David Gentile, the private equity guy, $1.6 billion, he defrauded people. Trump commuted his sentence. And then an oldie but a goodie, obviously Trump University, which had to pay $25 million settlement because it was a scam. Do not go out there and say this is all a liberal problem if you don't want to look under the hood of your own car.
Because here is the uncomfortable truth. MAGA doesn't oppose fraud. It opposes fraud committed by people they don't like or who are on the opposite side of the political spectrum. When Trump or Trump affiliates are found liable for fraud in court, well, that's just a witch hunt, right? But when someone else is accused, sometimes without substantial evidence even, that's the collapse of civilization.
Oh, CBS now has a report out
pouring cold water on the story that Nick Shirley investigated, that one learning center, which was misspelled, the word learning, and suggesting that they've gone in and seen children there, that in fact there have been many different visits by social service to make sure that everything was okay, and there were minor violations but nothing serious. Do you know the latest on that? They're essentially coming to the assistance of what seemed to be a fraud here, that is the CBS in particular.
Yes, I haven't followed the CBS report, but I know multiple people from local journalists and from our office and from other investigators have gone multiple times, and they've never found children there. They've never seen it open. And so I'm very skeptical. And yesterday, I was actually down there, and there were children there, but that was at the same time that the head of Children, Youth, and Families, the department, was saying that they had closed it the week before. Yeah. So somebody doesn't have their story straight, and they still haven't stopped payment. So I'm going to be looking into that in the fraud committee to find out when, in fact, if they closed it down, they did, and why, if they closed it down, they haven't stopped payments, because it's ridiculous.
See, the other Fox News host didn't dispute the facts. They just didn't want to talk about them.
I do not believe that prices are down for most Americans, and most Americans will tell you that. They do not feel like the Trump policies are working for them. They're losing manufacturing jobs. Millions of Americans in 3 days are not going to be able to afford their health care, and Republicans have done nothing to help solve the problem.
One way to take accountability for failure is to release an autopsy report. And to be honest about that, yet the Democrat National Committee refuses to release the 2024 autopsy report. Why won't they?
Few things. First, I think they should. I agree with you. But I don't think that you need to have a report, an autopsy, or be a rocket scientist with a degree from Harvard to know why we lost. And we did already. Myself and all of my fellow Democrats talked about why we lost. And I'm sorry, we have done course correction. 25 Republican state seats that we flipped, Republicans flipped 0. We flipped a gubernatorial seat in the state of Virginia. You want to say it's blue? Is Glenn Youngkin a Democrat? New Jersey, we have a governor there. Here in this city, incredible turnout. And what we are doing, Todd, I would agree with you that we need to look at the issues where Republicans and where the president are not doing well. I mean, he's hemorrhaging Latinos, youth, and independent voters right now on issues such as immigration, on issues such as the economy. And that's what Democrats need to do. But they don't need to have just one message. I mean, yes, when you're in a federal election, what we've seen that has been successful, it's been very successful for the new mayor here in New York, and every single Democrat success in each state is they're going to the people, they're pounding the pavement, and they're saying, what will make your life better? What are the issue or issues you care about? And that's what they need to campaign on.
And this is indicative of how MAGA operates, right? Trump has spent years framing himself as the ultimate anti-corruption crusader, railing against rigged systems, crooked elites, draining the swamp, right? But how about them Epstein files?
Over 1 million pages of new documents just appeared. I mean, this White House and the DOJ cannot be believed. They can't be trusted. You can't spend your whole campaign that you're going to release the files, then flip-flop completely, then call it a hoax. I mean, just a couple of days ago, the president said that the Epstein investigation was essentially over. What's he talking about? This work is just getting started. And what's really unfortunate is not only are they finding this additional 1 million documents, which is, it's crazy to think that just somehow got discovered. But in what they're actually releasing, they are doing a horrible job of protecting the survivors. Numerous names have now appeared in the documents. Survivors have literally been demanding that they actually follow the law to redact those names. And instead, who are they redacting? They're redacting the names of the co-conspirators, possibly. They've overly redacted possible information about Donald Trump, including photographs. There's all these strange photographs of the president appearing and then disappearing. His name somehow not appearing in certain documents where we know they should. And so these are all concerning revelations. I think it all adds up to the simple fact that this White House continues to cover up whatever Epstein and his co-conspirators did to these survivors.
But when courts, judges and juries, not journalists, not Democrats with an agenda or whatever they want to say, but actual courts rule that Donald Trump committed fraud and Trump affiliates committed fraud, the reaction from MAGA is instant dismissal. And this is why Jessica Tarlov's rant here hit such a nerve and went viral, because it gave Fox viewers a look behind the veneer. Saying boldly, if you're angry about fraud, shouldn't that include trumps fraud. If fraud is wrong, then it should be wrong for everyone. If courts matter, they should matter all the time. And if outrage is selective, it's not outrage, it's propaganda.
Thanks for watching. Be sure to add...
That's facts. That's fact. It's like when he's wrong, oh, like to give excuses. Like I don't understand that. Y'all let me know what y'all feel down in the comment section. Yeah, these Epstein files all over the place. It's rigged. I try to tell y'all people that it's rigged. Like and comment on the channel, y'all. We got way more videos to do. Let's get it.